of these faces are, I remember from many years ago, and it's wonderful to see you again. It's a great time we're having today, and I appreciate being invited. I appreciate Peter asking me to come and make a presentation. I was a little late maybe in preparing my speech. This is my speech here. And last night, rather late, I finished it up, and I came into the living room and my wife was sitting, and I said, "Dear, I finally finished it. It's all done." She said, "Let me see it." Big mistake. So I give it to her. She starts reading through, and she said, "Oh, you can't say that." And I see her scribbling off something that I had on there. And then she goes a little further. "Oh, you can't say that either." So she's scratching off another one. She said, "Don't worry, I'll fix it." So she starts writing in some new stuff. She's writing on the side and writing on the bottom. Half an hour later, she says, "I'm done." She hands it to me, and so I sit there and I start going through it, because here I have to comply to her wishes and come up with a new one. So I'm going through it and working on it, and she looks over and she says to me, "You can't go like that." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You can't go like that. Look at your head." I said, "What's wrong with my head?" She said, "When did you last get your hair cut?" I said, "I don't remember." So she said, "I'm going to have to fix that." So the next thing I know, she's spreading these newspapers all around on the floor, you know. The dog takes a look at the newspapers and runs under the bed. So she sits me down in the middle of it, and she starts chop, 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 chop. And I'm sitting there patiently and as good as I can be, and all of a sudden she says, "Whoa!" And then she says, "Oh, don't worry, I think I can fix that." Anyway, she's keeping on flipping, and I'm just letting things go, and she says, "Take your glasses off, they're in the way." So I take my glasses off, and I try to reach to put them on the table there, you know. Wouldn't you know it, they drop to the floor. Lynn popped out with them. Here I am, sitting there with one lens, one eye, trying to do my speech, trying to read it. And I want to tell you, I had a hard time. And so this is what I'm going by. You notice that I'm somehow not quite able to follow my own notes. It's not all my fault. But Peter has asked me to speak on some of the issues that we are facing with regards to the public school system here in New Brunswick. And I think this was brought about mainly from, as a result of the first concern that we've been working on these last number of months, and that was with the Miramichi District 16 Assembly of last May, in which the grade 9 students in all the schools in District 16 were bused to James M. Hill Memorial School in Chatham, Miramichi. And they had an assembly which was presented by Sue Johansson, known for her TV show, I guess. Numerous concerns were expressed before the event in the media and various other groups. I expressed a concern as well. But, and the district office, I think, had some concerns also, because they banned parents from the assembly. Now, this is unusual. In fact, they posted a gentleman at the door, apparently, to make sure parents did not get in. And they also refused any recordings to be made. They did, however, send out a memo to parents, or to some parents at least, because it wasn't required that the children bring home the memo. It was just required that the teachers pass them out to the children, who could bring them home if they wanted to. Some of the parents did get the memos, but the memos totally whitewashed and we know exactly what was said. Because to everybody's surprise, some very courageous person did make a tape recording of the event. That person sent the tape very, very wisely to Miramichi area clergy. Without the tape, we would still be able to express our concerns, but we wouldn't have the facts. We wouldn't have the evidence to back it up. In this particular case, we have the evidence, we have the facts, we know what was said. And this is extremely important. And this is why we just can't let this opportunity go. The summertime was hard to address the issue. We tried to, and we got quite a number of individuals supporting us. Government was slow, it put us off. We were into election time, and election time was hard to get things done. So now is the time that we're really getting down to the job that we have before us, and that's to address this issue and address it properly. The tape revealed an assembly which was explicit beyond description. It was an exercise in desensitization. It denigrated parents. It promoted early sexual activity. It promoted abortion. And the whole tone of the assembly was shockingly lewd. Some parents believe that the assembly actually went over the legal line with specific incitements to touch for a sexual purpose. It's hard to believe how these people can think that they can just go ahead and violate the innocence of somebody else's child. Did they publicly admit to a mistake? No. Did they admit to a lapse in judgment? No. Did they tell the parents of those minor children what actually happened? No. Did they try to correct the wrong that was done? No. From our perspective, we found only threats, intimidation, and cover-up. Even the past Minister of Education would not even reply to our concerns. I have a selection of quotes from the assembly. My wife is holding a selection of quotes in her hand. There's envelopes there. The envelopes are sealed. Anybody who wants one of those envelopes containing the selection of quotes, it also contains a sample of a letter that was sent to the Department of Education. You folks can use that sample as an idea of what you might write in your own way to the minister. We want you to respond, and this is one way perhaps we can allow you to see exactly what the facts are and respond properly to the minister. We're very pleased now, however, that we do have a new Minister of Education, the Honorable Jody Carr. We're hoping that he will recognize the gravity of that which was done, but we really need every one of you to write to Mr. Carr to express your concerns as well. Ask him to investigate and ask him to respond appropriately. But how did we get to this point? The district office said that the assembly was necessary because, quote, the growing numbers of teenage pregnancies and sexually transmitted infections, including chlamydia and hepatitis C, which are growing at an alarming rate within the District 16 region. Well, how could that happen? I think I can guess. Didn't they bring in a new, improved sex program in 2006 for the younger children in grades 6, 7, and 8? Do the math. It's 4 years later, and now we are reaping the results. A child that was in grade 6 then would be in grade 10 now. A child that was in grade 8 would be in grade 12. Just this week, we learned that they are considering a new initiative. This came out Thursday, the Mountain Times maybe you saw. District 16 is considering giving out pills and condoms right within the District 16 schools. They say, quote, this is to enable students to strive for healthy sexual lifestyles. proposal will include emergency contraception, and you know what that is, and condom distribution. And again, parents just don't need to know. In a phone conversation with the Executive Director of Educational Programs, she suggested that perhaps the health teachers in District 16 need to be re-educated. I would suggest that they need to be removed. The whole school project is designed not to teach children to respect their own family values of faithfulness in marriage, but is actually, I believe, to change society by creating a public school social environment which is permissive and sexually liberating. Some parents don't have a clue, and others simply don't care. Some years ago, our wonderful District 16 brought in what is called the Irondale Ensemble. This is the truth. It's an offensive bunch presenting an extremely inappropriate sex program through skits and activities which actually included some of the children. A complaint went promptly to the floor of the Legislative Assembly. Frank McKenna, who was Premier at the time, he addressed the issue and an apology was offered by the district office. On another occasion, my wife and I, for a number of reasons, decided to withdraw our child from the grade 9 sex course. To say the least, our child was treated very, very badly. But courts have now recognized that student withdrawal in these cases is discriminatory and that it exposes such children to ridicule. Note also the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. It states that, quote, parents have a prior right to choose the kind of education which is to be given to their children. Real choice in education